Hi, everybody. This is day 1,543 days since Richard was code red on Fort Bliss. A code red. What does that mean? That is an internal order to murder a soldier. Why would the chain of command in the Army on Fort Bliss want to murder a young soldier? Why would they, that was distinguished honor graduate that would do anything you asked him to do without complaint, quote unquote? Why would they order to have him murdered? Well, because he saw something and he said something. He acted. He was a whistleblower, an official whistleblower. He was in communication with FBI Houston, with Washington. He was in communication with the IG. He was in communication with the CID. He even called 911. He was in communication and reported to CPS multiple times, multiple times. Fort Bliss is the home of the Emergency Intake Center that has lost and are mostly dead uh, just about around 500,000 unaccompanied children. Unaccompanied children. What a disaster that is for any mother, any grandmother that is listening to this. And I'm sure fathers feel it deeply also, grandfathers feel it deeply also. Unaccompanied children. That is like, right in our heart. Children can't be unaccompanied, right? They can't be unaccompanied. They can't survive. Who's going to take care of them? They're so vulnerable. They are so vulnerable if they're unaccompanied. Who's going to protect them? Who's going to advocate for them? Who's going to love them? Who's going to care for them? And now they're mostly dead. They're mostly dead. And that happened on Fort Bliss. And Fort Bliss, what is the driving force? It is the sex cult. It is our culture that allows illicit sexual cultish activity. And, I have behind me here Theodora, the Empress of Byzantium. I was painting this picture when Richard went missing and was, we later found out he was code red murdered. Um, he's officially been designated murdered on Fort Bliss. And of course, Theodora was Justinian, Emperor Justinian of Byzantium's husband. And what is Justinian known for? For the Codex, the Justinian Codex. And the West has used the Justinian Codex for its laws, and also Alfred the Great, his Codex of England, for their laws. Biblical law put to codex. That's what it is. And is it perfect? No, but it was our law of freedom that was codexed from the. You don't reinvent the wheel. You take what others have done in the past and you apply it, right? And you see that biblical law has been taken and put to codex for England, for Great Britain, for Byzantium, the Eastern Roman Empire. And it's really interesting to to read it and to understand what part of it did we adopt as a country, and what part of it that we adopted has been slowly chipped away and has caused this terrible problem with the sex cults, the sex cult activity that has led to 500,000, I think it's more, unaccompanied children being housed on a military installation under Mealy, under General Mealy, who absolutely needs to be arrested. And, he's talking about he's afraid that he's going to be court-martialed. Absolutely, that demon needs to be court-martialed for what he has done. Um, the damage that he has done not only to our service members, but so many others. 500,000 more and more unaccompanied minors that are now mostly dead. And those were in the hands of our military, right? And that means that we were paying for it. We were paying for that. The taxpayers, the Americans. And, we're going to um, have some um, epiphany and um, a self-conscious moment of what has gone on here. And we know that it was absolutely awful because we have testimony to that. And that was on our military base. And, what we have discovered through our investigation, we were told to be our own investigators, that they could not help us unless we brought them leads, unless we investigated. And so we did. And what did we find out through all of this? And that is that Richard's case started before the Walmart mass shooting. That he was reporting, he was a whistleblower before the Walmart mass shooting. And that action was taken. He was in communication, reporting what he saw. And there were audits, and there was action being taken. The IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. The military was very nervous because it implicated their human trafficking, their weapons trafficking, their drug trafficking, their ammunition trafficking, criminal network that was going on. And our suspicion was that they schemed and orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting. That's why Richard had information, because he saw the progression. And we maintain that that is our timeline. And in this case, we're not alone. There's a whistleblower. There's a whistleblower, an official whistleblower. And that is becoming more and more important. We are in the process, we've been in the process for a while to understand the importance of the whistleblower, so that we could report on it properly with you. I know that Angela Kacherga was very upset about the whistleblower, very upset. She did not want us to get any help, okay? She did not want us to get help from the whistleblower. And it really rattled her. And so we have been trying to put this together. Of course, Angela Kacherga works hand in hand with Bob Moore of El Paso Matters. We know that Angela Kachurga has conflicts of interest, has very shady past, very shady connections. We know this. We know Bob Moore is all up to no good, all up to no good, and he's not a reliable source, and he's shady because he uses unreliable source to frame false narratives using confirmed convicted criminals like Leilani Hart. And Leilani Hart is a very big deal in this case because she has such a criminal persona. I mean, she's just such a criminal, right? She's just such a criminal. From before Richard was even born, she was a criminal. That's how long her criminal history is. And she has all kinds of record on Fort Bliss, of problems, lots of problems. And they were doing Hart child care. Her family was doing Hart child care. And so, to have a whistleblower in Richard's case, someone that knew what was going on and reported it, and reported Leilani Hart, and reported Tavita Nusa, the CID agent, which implicated the CID office there in obstructing justice. No wonder Angela Kachurga was very unhappy if she had conflicts of interest in this, and this would expose that she was up to no good with Bob Moore, right? And so Leilani Hart was used by Bob Moore in a story against the whistleblower. They really tried to discredit the whistleblower. And we're trying to get to the bottom of this whole we have enough, but we want how can I say it in a way for people to understand the retaliation that we have received, for them to understand, for the public to understand, without spilling all the details, the vile and vulgar retaliation that we as the Gold Star family have received and have endured, and the threats, the harassment, but the retaliation also. It's very hard to express that so that the people would understand it, but would not give in to any weakness at all, that we will endure this, standing straight up with our full armor of God on, right? Charging after the gates of hell. We want to give that surety to the people out there that are watching this, that have service members that are very loved and maybe in harm's way. And we want to give that surety that we love our country, that we are absolutely pro-military, but that our leadership has been, through HRC, through the Senate Arms Committee, been infiltrated with those that are serving foreign and domestic enemies, and that would order a code red on a young soldier that saw the most atrocious things in criminal trafficking, and also in the Walmart mass shooting, that linked that those crimes to the leader's own Fort Bliss. And was retaliated against and murdered. Um, we want to, how do we talk about what we have to go through with this whistleblower without arms? How many, we are absolutely willing to put on our full armor of God and charge the gates of hell. We're willing to do that. But we also have to be mindful of others. And we've had many witnesses. Remember the soldier that wanted the congressional, the witnesses, even past victims in Leilani Hart's cases, okay? Past victims of Leilani Hart, past victims that became the victims of Bob Moore and Bob Moore's vile and vulgar criminal group. Or the CID's criminal group, harassing, threatening, retaliating against. Look what happened to Glendon Oakley Jr. And so it is a very, very important that we don't rush into framing a narrative about Richard's whistleblower. We want to get it all right. We want to release it. We are going to release it. Because once it's released, the retaliation is a real thing. It's a real thing. And the people that really need the accountability, that need to be, I'm not saying any kind of, it's not even retaliation, it's accountability, is Angela Kachurga, is those on Bliss Avenue that are involved in all of this, the generals that are involved in this, the Bob Moores, the Bill Hickses, the John Briggs, the fake, right? The fake DA, the fake panel of judges, the judge that is an impersonator of an official, because they need to be elected and they're not. They're appointed, and therefore they have no authority, none, because you either obey the law or you don't obey the law. If you obey the law, you have authority. If you don't, then you have no authority. That's it. And because of looking at the Justinian Codex, I did that years ago because of homeschooling. It's like God's prepared the way, right? God prepared the way. And what did the Americans government, what did they adopt from the Justinian Code for the most part? And that was family law. That was law against the sex cults. Law against the sex cults. There was no tolerance for hurting, sexually assaulting children. There was no tolerance for that. And what that did was restrain the evil. And we don't have those restraints right now. We have 500,000 of them minimum that are missing and are mostly dead. And part of that is the involvement of the sex cult. a huge sex cult, and in conjunction with the Mormon congregation. Um, and that should rattle the Mormon congregation, that this is in conjunction with them, with the sex cult, with the criminal group that is absolutely, be it a demonic sex cult, absolutely, it's a demonic sex cult. Um, I've been sent all kinds of things. I just know that these people have a history of sex cult activity, and they have a history with the Mormon congregation. And so when you're reaching in to this kind of criminal network, um, and of course, Richard could not let children be hurt. That, you know, 14-year-old girl in the barracks, he wouldn't have tolerated that, because he knew the reasons that that could not be tolerated. And when you look at the Justinian Code, when the family law part of it, most of that is written by Theodora, because Theodora experienced firsthand, she knew firsthand the evil of the sex cult, and if you gave them any control, the evil that they would do. And so she put very heavy restraints into the Justinian Codex for family law, and really heavy on who could inherit. Who could inherit? You couldn't be, uh, let's just say, a concubine and inherit. It's very interesting. The inheritance laws are a huge part of this in the family law. And it's about property, because people are greedy. They have larceny in their heart. And this whole reason, you have to ask yourself, or you don't have to, but I do. I asked myself, why are they trafficking like this? I mean, it's huge. It is huge. And okay, you can say greed. Okay, so what are they greedy for? Are they greedy for um, being up to no good with children? And, yes, there is that. But there also is another intention. It's like that's like the control. But what are they really after? And it's property. It's real estate. It's property. Um, the trafficking makes money. They launder the money, and then they buy property. And it's not just any property. It's not like a little house or something. I mean, it could be that, but they're after the prime property. Prime, that's what they're after. And it's been very clear. And to have a whistleblower in Richard's case, not just Nadal Baim, right? Not just testimonies about Dallas Hart being Richard's platoon leader. I mean, those are very important. So you have Nadal Baim, very important. But he's not an official whistleblower. He he just was protecting himself. He saw the flyers and it was in his backyard, right? It was right by his work environment and he didn't want to see it. And he wanted those flyers taken down. And so he was so confident because of his connections, not only Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ADCOM, which is Richard's command, but it's the other connections that he has that are, when they are released, you'll be like, "What?" Because it connects. It connects. It connects to Julio Cordero. It connects to the Harts. And it also connects to those from the Walmart mass shooting. So Nadal Baim is very big. But that's not the whistleblower I'm talking. He's not an official whistleblower. Um, I'm talking about an official whistleblower. I'm talking about a you know reports that will just um, they spend a lot of time um, giving us the runaround about a lot of time. Criminal, absolutely criminal. And while when this whole thing with the whistleblower is when the whole atmosphere and environment changed and the operations on dealing with a Gold Star family also changed. It was the beginning of 2023, and that is the beginning of the very vile and vulgar retaliation that we received. It was in conjunction with the whistleblower. And so, you know, we just want to thank everyone for being patient. Um, Many of you know who the whistleblower is, but we want to really give an in-depth, a correct view of everything that happened in this case and why we we feel like we have enough, and that Bill Hicks is not the DA. He's not the DA at all. He is an impersonator of a government official. He is denying the people of El Paso honest service. It's very clear. And so I don't know how to express how thorough we are in our investigations, in the conflicts of interest. I can say this, that when it came to Patrick Crusius, we were saying it since December, right, of 2023, that Patrick Crusius had autism, and we were right. We were right. That's proven right now. And we were saying that Richard had been murdered, and it was the prime suspect is Dallas Hart, and more, that something really stinky is going on with Clem Coward and Lieutenant Colonel Michael Roddick, and we have the connections to it, and then on April 24th, 2024, we were given the declaration of death, something we already knew. And I think that we are absolutely right about Angela Kachurga. She's absolutely, um, she has multiple names. Um, Something is very wrong. Something is very wrong. Those connections are very, very wrong. So don't be fooled by her. And we will absolutely um, tell Team Find Richard Halliday all about the whistleblower. We're almost there. And I think it's very, very important to let everyone know that this is going to be revealed because number one, we need this the case to get traction, right? That's what's going to drive them to get us accountability is traction. And that's why loads of money is being spent on shadow banning and getting, let's just say, people that are interested in watching to get, blocked somehow or frustrated or no notices or things like that. So I've gotten all those reports. So thank you, Anicia, for coming on every day. And I'm sure you could tell your stories too on how, it has not been easy to follow this live stream. And we really appreciate it. And please share it. Please share it wherever, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube, on, wherever. Because a true narrative is what scares them the most. If it gets out in the public, a true narrative in the public. And there is no doubt in my mind that what they did to Richard was an internal order by the military. So I think that is um, just a little insight of what we uh, are trying to accomplish here is have a very strong whistleblower with Team Farm Richard Halliday, very strong, wearing the full armor of God and charging after the gates of hell. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. And we really appreciate your support. And we will absolutely be on tomorrow working very hard. It's Monday. It's Monday. Um, and so I hope everyone had a great Sunday. We had a great day today. It, yeah, the messages are so powerful right now. Um, in Scripture, it empowers you to know that God is greater than all of these evil people. So thank you so much, and we will be back tomorrow, God willing, or we'll have a news flash, breaking news very soon. Thank you so much.